Hello, YouTube. As you can see, I have new hair now. I gave myself a jellyfish cut. And with my new hair, I decided to make a new video for you all. So today I'm going to talk about the time that me and my best friend smoked a fat joint, tried to steal alcohol, got caught, got kicked out of the store, and then how I decided to do acid and ended up with a crazy hectic day. So, okay, let's start the story. This happened about a year ago, and at this point I was a NEET. I had just graduated high school, I got fired from my job a month and a half ago, and I wasn't in college. So I literally was a NEET, not in employment, education, or training. And because of that, I spent a lot of my days just kind of hanging out at home and smoking weed. I'll literally be honest about that. I was a huge pothead, and I mean that in every way of the word, not like to be negative. I went through my days just constantly high. And because of, weed just calmed me down and it made me sociable. So, I liked smoking. I liked smoking alone. I liked smoking with friends. I liked just getting high. Constantly getting high. So I woke up early as fuck in the morning. It was still dark out when I woke up. But it wasn't, so, early that it was still pitch black. It was when the sun's starting to rise and the sky kind of looks like a darkish blue. And I realized, oh shit, today my best friend Kay, she's getting up early. I'm calling my friend Kay here in this video just for anonymity's sake. But me and Kay, I texted her, I was like, hey, good morning, and she was like, hey, good morning, what's up? And I was like, hey, you wanna hang out today? And she was like, yeah, I don't want to go to driver's ed. I'm planning on skipping driver's ed, because she had driver's ed practice once a day, well, not once a day, once a week on a specific day before school. So, some days she'd come in, other days she wouldn't. And this is one day she decided not to. So I was like, hey, we should hang out and roll a joint, I should roll a joint for us. And we both were like, yeah, that sounds fucking awesome. That sounds sick. So I roll this fat joint, and me and Kay meet up, and we decide to smoke it together. And I'm there. I got my lighter. I light it. I take two drags, inhale, puff, puff, pass. We just keep doing that. I do too. She does too. I do too. And we keep hitting this king size joint until it's just a little itty bitty roach. And when we finish with it, we're both stoned and we're bored, so we're like, okay, what should we try to do today? And that's when our mind said, hey, we're stoned, let's also get drunk. Now, a teen delinquent in their right state of mind would say, hey, I'm just gonna pay an adult to get me alcohol. But we were not in our right state of mind, so we instead were like, hey, let's try and steal some cans. Let's steal some of those big fucking cans of alcohol. And we tried that, and it didn't work, and we got caught. And because we were under 17, because we were under 18, we didn't get arrested. We were just told, get the fuck out, and we were kicked out of the store. And because of that, we were like, fuck, we can't get drunk now. So what else are we going to do? So me and Kay, we decide to hang out more. And I asked, hey Kay, how would you feel about trip setting me today? And she's like, that sounds fucking awesome. I'd love to do that. So I have these 2 tabs of acid, and I just stick them right on my tongue, thinking nothing of it. And after a little bit goes by, I decide to swallow the tabs, and then my mom knocks on the door, and she's like, Alex, Kay's mom came to pick her up. And it turns out the manager at the store knew my friend's mother and was saying, hey, yeah, she has to go home. She can't hang out with you today. Kay's in trouble. I was like, oh, fuck. And Kay was like, Alex, don't worry. I'll still, like, call you and keep in contact, and I'll make sure you're alright. And I'm nervous now, because only me and Kay, know that I'm about to trip balls. And no one else knows this. So after Kay's mom picks her up, I'm just there with my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry to tell you this. I just, like, took, like, some acid, and and my mom's like, oh, no. So my mom was just, like, disappointed. She's like, not really disappointed, she was just like, oh, no, and I was like, oh, no. So I'm immediately in, like, okay, I gotta get someone to watch me before I start absolutely tripping balls and go crazy. And so I go onto my phone and I'm texting everyone that I know. I'm like, hey, does anyone want to hang out? And I'm not telling anyone that I'm gonna trip balls in like an hour or two, because I don't want to scare anyone away. So I'm just like, hey, you want to hang out and stuff? And so I'm able to hang out with this girl that used to live close to me, and I'll call her Lacey for this video, just to protect her anonymity again. And so me and Lacey meet up. I tell Lacey what's going on, and Lacey's just like, oh, no, Alex, are you doing, like, drugs? Yeah, I'm like, Lacey, we smoke weed so much together. And she's like, well, weed's different than everything else. And I'm like, okay, it's still technically a drug, though, it's like, I get what she was saying, though, Obviously, I probably should have listened to her advice, but then again, I am way more crazy than Lacey, so I'm not going to say anything. And with that, me and Lacey just walked around town. I had this blunt that I didn't finish that I was smoking alone, so I was like, hey, you just want to smoke this blunt together and hang out? And we start walking around, things are fine. Obviously I'm stoned because of the joint I shared with Kay earlier, but, I'm just still chilling. And then, I look around and everything's all of a sudden, like, really bright. Like, really, really, really bright. Like, the sky's, like, a bright blue, the grass is, like, neon green, the pinks are, like, these vibrant neon pinks, and when I went outside and I was seeing the grass, I was seeing, like, all these spirals in the grass that were, like, yellow and purple and green, and it was all around, and it looked like there were, like, waves of water in the grass. And I start noticing this, and I'm like, Lacey, how do my eyes look? And she's like, they look like, she was like, oh yeah, you are definitely tripping, because my pupils on acid, so my pupils right now, as you can tell, blue-green eye, not blue-green, I have blue-gray eyes, and, my pupils are kind of small, but when I was on acid, it was, like, all black, like, my eye was just pupil and sclera. That's what the white stuff in your eye is called. It's called sclera. So yeah, I had no iris, just pupil and sclera. And with that, I was just walking around with Lacey. And during that time, I was also texting Kay a little here and there, just letting her know what was going on. And then me and Lacey decide to head over to our little hangout. And in this hangout, we just kind of talked, and, when you get to a certain point in an acid trip, you start to get kind of existential, especially when you're on a dose of, like, about 500 micrograms, which is what it was exactly 480. Let me just say right now, I was tripping balls, and I don't think I experienced ego death, but I did experience this very, like, existential crisis thing like, you know when you take a lot of acid and you can't really tell what's real or fake or what's what, and it fucks with your whole sense of reality and like how you perceive yourself. That's what was happening. And during this time, I was getting real existential with Lacey. I was like, Lacey, like, how am I going to end up? Is my life going to suck? I worry that this is going to be the best years of my life. Everything's going to go to shit. And I'm going to die alone. I start, like, sobbing and crying and being, like, an emotional wreck, And Lacey's just trying to comfort me the whole time. And, we hang out, we get high, we talk about what we want to do. Lacey talks about how she wants to travel and do, like, farm stuff and all of that, and I was like, wow, I was like, you should do that, Lacey, that sounds pretty cool. And me and I was talking with Kay about it, and Kay was like, oh, that's cool that she wants to do that. And we were all, well, it wasn't all of us physically there, but after a while Lacey had to go home and stuff, so there I was again, alone and tripping balls. And turns out then I had to go run errands with my mom, and during the whole time I'm still tripping balls. And my mom had to do like some grocery shopping, so I like was in the store and I was just so fucking high. Like, I go in there and instead of like seeing, like, because it was like one of those like warehousey kind of grocery stores, and all the floors were like concrete, but in the concrete I saw like these checkers that didn't really have, like, they kind of had like a shadow, and they were like squares bordered by shadows in each corner, and in the center of each square there was like what looked like kind of like a tornado, like, what looked from my perspective like it was 3D, but it was like still in the ground. And these tornadoes looking things were like, they were purple and orange, and they were like spinning and spinning and spinning, and they would vary in like how big they were. So like I would look at them and they'd go from being like really small and then really big and then really small and then really big, and it just kept going like that. And at the same time, when you're on acid, how your heart's like thumping, like boom, 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 boom. So I was just like really anxious. I was like, oh shit, I can't talk to anyone, because if they do, I don't think they're gonna understand me. I don't think I'm gonna understand them. So I'm just trying to keep quiet, just trying to follow my mom, just trying to make sure that it's not as obvious that I'm like tripping on acid during that time. And so after I get home and I spend the rest of the day mainly just, watching TV shows and drawing and talking with Kay. And Kay was like, yeah, it sucks that we couldn't like fully hang out today, but I'm glad that we got to hang out, and we should, hang out some other time, and, like, actually, try not to do anything stupid. And I was like, okay, I will definitely do that. Lesson learned, don't try to steal alcohol, and don't do a bunch of acid after you get in trouble for stealing alcohol. And with that concludes the ending of, I almost forgot this detail, but apparently after, like, everything, I talked with Kay. I was like, hey, Kay, is your mom, like, upset at you? And she's like, no, my mom's, like, kind of upset of us, obviously, but it's like, you're not, like, banned from seeing me. I'm like, oh, okay. And, I was, like, worried for a while, because I was like, what if, like, people think Kay's a bad influence on me? What if Kay's family or friends thinks I'm a bad influence on her? And ever since that event, I have learned, one, don't try to steal alcohol, especially when you're high, and also just, like, don't take acid after getting in trouble with that, because, yeah, you might end up with a bunch of random things happening and all your plans go to shit. So yeah, that was the story about my acid trip gone wrong. Thank you for watching. It was nice seeing you all again, and this concludes today's video. Bye-bye.